My daughter Madison called begging for $100,000 to save her husband's failing business. I trusted her. I gave her everything. She was planning to take it all: my house, my savings, even my sister Teresa's livelihood. They didn't just want my money. They wanted me gone. Hello, I'm Jacqueline, 70 years old from Asheville, North Carolina. Before I dive into this story, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment with where you're watching from. Your support means everything. 6 months ago, Madison's voice cracked over the phone. "Mom, we're in trouble," she said. Willie's design firm was collapsing. They couldn't pay their bills. They were about to lose their apartment. I pictured Madison, the girl who used to draw me birthday cards, now 38, married to Willie, a man who always seemed to have big ideas but no follow-through. I couldn't let them sink. I'd been living comfortably in my Asheville home, paid off years ago with my late husband's insurance money. My savings weren't endless, but I had enough to help. "How much do you need?" I asked already, thinking about my bank account. $100,000, Madison said quietly. "Mom, I hate asking, but you're our only hope." I didn't hesitate long. Family helps family. I called my lawyer Marjorie Klein the next day. She warned me to protect myself. "Jacqueline, don't just hand over the money," she said. "Make it a loan with terms." I agreed. We drew up a contract. The $100,000 was a loan to be repaid in 3 years with interest. As collateral, I'd hold a lien on their apartment until they paid me back. Madison seemed surprised when I emailed her the paperwork. "Mom, this feels so formal," she said over the phone. "It's just to keep things clear," I replied. She signed without arguing. "You're a lifesaver, Mom," she said. I wired the money that week, feeling proud I could save my daughter. For a month or two, everything seemed fine. Madison called every weekend updating me on Willie's business. They were pitching new clients, she said. Things were looking up. She sent photos of their apartment, redecorated with modern furniture. I smiled seeing her happy. But then the calls slowed down. By March, Madison stopped calling altogether. When I reached out, she was always busy. "Mom, we're swamped with work," she'd say, rushing off the phone. Willie, who used to chat with me about his designs, suddenly never answered when I called. I started feeling like a stranger in their lives. I pushed down my doubts. They were just stressed, I told myself. Running a business is hard. But one evening in April, I got a call from my bank. Someone had tried to access my savings account online. The bank flagged it because the login came from an unfamiliar device in Charlotte, 2 hours from Asheville. I hadn't shared my password with anyone. I changed it immediately, but something felt wrong. I called Madison the next day. "Everything okay with you and Willie?" I asked. "Yeah, Mom." "Why?" she said, sounding distracted. "Just checking in," I said, not mentioning the bank alert. Her voice was too casual. By May, I couldn't ignore the red flags. I drove to Charlotte unannounced to visit them. Their apartment building was upscale with a doorman and a gym. I buzzed their unit, but no one answered. A neighbor saw me waiting. "You looking for Madison and Willie?" she asked. "They're probably at their new place." New place. My stomach dropped. The neighbor gave me an address 15 minutes away. I drove there and found a sleek townhouse with a brand new Mercedes in the driveway. Through the window, I saw a massive flat-screen television and leather furniture. This wasn't the struggling couple I'd bailed out. I rang the doorbell. Willie opened it, his face going pale. "Jacqueline, what are you doing here?" he stammered. "Surprising my daughter," I said, keeping my voice steady. Madison appeared behind him, her smile forced. "Mom, why didn't you call?" she asked, ushering me inside. The townhouse was stunning marble countertops, custom lighting. "This is new," I said, looking around. "Yeah, we got a good deal," Willie said, avoiding my eyes. "Business must be booming then," I said. Madison laughed nervously. "We're just renting for now." We sat in their pristine living room, but the conversation felt scripted. They talked about Willie's clients, but the details were vague. I asked about the apartment they'd claimed was at risk. "Oh, we sold it," Madison said quickly. "Made a profit, actually. Sold it, I'd put a lien on that apartment. They hadn't told me. I kept my face neutral, but my mind was racing. You didn't mention paying back the loan, I said. Willie shifted in his seat. We're working on it, he said. It's just been hectic. I left after an hour, their excuses ringing in my ears. On the drive back to Asheville, I called Marjorie. They sold the apartment without telling me, I said. Can they do that? Marjorie was blunt. Not legally, Jacqueline. The lien follows the property. If they sold it, the buyer should have been notified. I'll look into it. She called back 2 days later. The sale was shady, she said. They used a shell company to hide the transaction. I'm digging deeper, but this doesn't look good. That's when I started investigating. I checked my bank statements again. There were small charges. I hadn't noticed. $50 here, $100 there at stores in Charlotte. I hadn't shopped there in years. I called the bank. They confirmed the charges came from a card linked to my account, but used in person. Someone had my card details. I canceled it immediately, but the betrayal was sinking in. Madison and Willie weren't just dodging the loan. They were stealing from me. I confronted Madison over the phone. Why are you using my card? I asked. She gasped. Mom, what are you talking about? We'd never do that. Her denial was too quick. Then explain the charges in Charlotte, I said. I don't know, she said, her voice rising. Maybe someone stole your info. Don't accuse us. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there staring at my phone, realizing my daughter was lying to my face. Marjorie suggested hiring a private investigator. I met Leonard Walsh in his cluttered Asheville office. He was in his 50s with a no-nonsense attitude. Give me everything you've got, he said. I handed over the loan contract, bank statements, and details about the townhouse. I'll start with their finances, he said. People like this always leave a trail. Leonard called a week later with news that made my blood boil. Madison and Willie aren't broke, he said. Willie's firm is pulling in 6 figures. They used your $100,000 to buy that Mercedes and pay off credit card debt from Willie's gambling habit. Gambling? I couldn't believe it. There's more, Leonard said. They're working with a guy named Gerald Hinton. He's bad news, runs a network that targets wealthy seniors. They convince family members to scam their parents or siblings for assets. Your daughter's deep in it. I felt sick. Madison wasn't just greedy. She was part of a criminal operation. What about my house? I asked. Leonard's voice was grim. They've been asking around about its value. I found emails where they discussed forging documents to transfer the deed to Willie's name. My house was worth $500,000. It was all I had left from my husband's life insurance and 30 years of careful saving. They weren't stopping at the loan. They wanted everything. I called Teresa, my younger sister, who ran a small restaurant in Asheville. We hadn't been close in years. She thought I spoiled Madison too much, but I needed her now. Teresa, they're trying to take my house, I said. She was quiet for a moment. Jacqueline, I'm sorry, she said. I told you Madison was trouble. What can I do? I asked her to meet me at Marjorie's office. Teresa showed up, looking tired, but determined. Marjorie laid out the situation. We can protect your assets, she said. But you need to act fast. File a fraud claim on the loan and freeze any attempts to transfer your property. I nodded. Do it, I said. Teresa reached for my hand. I'm here, she said. For the first time in years, I felt like I had family again. But Madison wasn't done. She called that night, her voice sweet as honey. Mom, let's take a family trip, she said. Just you, me and Willie. We'll go camping in Pisgah Forest. Clear the air. I should have said no, but I wanted to believe she could change. Maybe this was her way of apologizing. I agreed. We set out that Friday in their Mercedes, me in the back seat, Madison and Willie up front. The drive was quiet. Too quiet. Madison barely spoke. Willie kept glancing at her in the mirror. We pulled onto a dirt road deep in Pisgah Forest, the trees closing in around us. Where are we going? I asked. A special spot, Madison said, her voice flat. My gut told me something was wrong, but I stayed silent. They stopped the car on a deserted stretch of road. Madison turned to me. "Mom, we need to talk about the house," she said. What I asked? Willie leaned back. "We need you to sign it over to us," he said. "The loan's not enough. Business is tough." I stared at them. "You're not getting my house," I said. Madison's face hardened. "You're being selfish, Mom," she said. "We're family. You don't need that big house all alone." I shook my head. "This isn't about family. You're stealing from me." Willie got out, opened my door. "Get out," he said. I froze. "What are you doing?" I asked. Madison didn't look at me. "You need to think about what's important," she said. Willie grabbed my purse, tossed it onto the road. "Walk it off," he said. They got back in the car and drove away, leaving me on that empty forest road with nothing but my purse and the clothes I was wearing. I stood there watching their taillights disappear, my mind reeling. My own daughter had just abandoned me. Madison and Willie left me stranded on a forest road, thinking I'd give up. They thought I was weak. They didn't know I was already planning to take them down. Their lies were unraveling, and I wasn't going to let them touch Teresa's life next. I stood on that dirt road in Pisgah Forest, the afternoon light fading through the trees. My purse was in the dust where Willie had thrown it. No phone signal. No car for miles. I wasn't scared yet, just angry. My daughter and her husband had crossed a line. I picked up my purse, checked inside. My wallet, keys, and phone were still there, but the battery was at 10%. I tried calling Teresa, but the call dropped. I started walking, hoping to find a ranger station or a passing car. After 20 minutes, my legs ached. I'm 70, not exactly built for hiking. Then I heard an engine. A beat-up truck pulled up, driven by a guy in his 30s wearing a hunting vest. "You okay, ma'am?" he asked, leaning out the window. His name was Calvin Dorsey, a local who hunted in Pisgah. I told him the truth. "My daughter and her husband left me here," I said. His jaw tightened. "That's messed up," he said. "Hop in. I'll get you to town." Calvin drove me to a gas station outside Asheville, where my phone finally got a signal. I called Teresa. "They abandoned me," I said, my voice shaking with rage. "Where are you?" she asked. I gave her the address. "Stay put," she said. "I'm coming." While I waited, Calvin bought me a coffee. "You got family besides them?" he asked. I nodded. "My sister Teresa." He smiled. "Good. Stick with her. People who do that to their own mom don't deserve you." His words hit hard. I thanked him, gave him my number in case I needed a witness later. Teresa arrived an hour later, her face furious. "Those bastards," she said, hugging me. "What happened?" I told her everything. The loan, the townhouse, the Mercedes, their demand for my house. She listened, her eyes narrowing. "They're not just greedy," she said. "They're dangerous. We need to stop them." We drove to my house in Asheville. I called Marjorie Klein, left a voicemail. "They tried to force me to sign over my house," I said. "Then they left me in the forest. I need your help." Marjorie called back within the hour. "This is serious, Jacqueline," she said. "Abandonment like that could be elder abuse. We'll file a police report and tighten the lien on their assets." I agreed, but I wanted more than legal action. I wanted proof. I called Leonard Walsh, the private investigator. "I need everything you can find on Madison and Willie," I said. "They're planning to go after Teresa next." Leonard was all business. "Give me 48 hours, he said. "I'll have something." While waiting, I stayed with Teresa at her apartment above her restaurant. She cooked us dinner, simple pasta, but it felt like home. "I should have listened to you about Madison," I said. Teresa shrugged. "You're a mom. You see the best in your kid. But Jacqueline, she's not your kid anymore. She's a thief." Her words stung, but they were true. I'd spent years making excuses for Madison's selfishness. "No more." Leonard called 2 days later. "You're not gonna like this," he said. He met us at Marjorie's office with a stack of documents. "Madison and Willie are working with Gerald Hinton," he said. "He's got a network of scammers who target seniors like you. They use family members to manipulate parents or siblings into giving up assets. Your $100,000 was just the start. He showed me bank records. The money I'd loaned them went to a luxury condo deposit, not Willie's business. They'd also taken out loans against my house, using forged documents. I felt rage boiling up. What about Teresa? I asked. Leonard slid over an email chain between Madison and Gerald. They're planning to hit her restaurant, he said. They know it's worth $200,000. Their plan is to fake a lawsuit against you, claim you're mentally unfit, then go after Teresa's assets as compensation for emotional distress. Teresa slammed her hand on the table. They're not touching my place, she said. Marjorie nodded. We can block the lawsuit, she said, but we need hard evidence to take down Gerald's network. I called the Asheville police, filed a report with Detective Dennis Carver. He took my statement about the forced abandonment and the forged documents. This is elder abuse, he said. We'll investigate, but it's tricky without witnesses. I gave him Calvin's number. He saw me right after it happened, I said. Dennis promised to follow up, but I wasn't waiting for the police. I wanted Madison and Willie to face me. I called Madison, set up a meeting at a coffee shop in Asheville. She showed up alone, looking nervous. Mom, I'm so sorry, she said. We didn't mean to leave you like that. Willie was upset. I didn't buy it. You left me on a forest road, I said. You've been stealing from me. Now you're going after Teresa. Her eyes widened. What? No, Mom, you're confused. I leaned forward. I have proof, Madison. Bank records, emails. You're working with Gerald Hinton. She went pale, stood up. You're paranoid, she said, and walked out. I knew I'd rattled her. That night, Leonard called with big news. Gerald's spooked, he said. He's planning to meet his top players, including Madison and Willie, to clean up loose ends. I've got a contact who can get you close. I didn't hesitate. Tell me how I said. He explained Gerald was meeting at a private club in Charlotte. Leonard could get me in as a guest, but I'd need to wear a wire. It's risky, he said. You sure? I was sure. Madison thought she could break me. She was about to learn I wasn't going down without a fight. Madison thought I'd crumble after they left me in that forest. She was wrong. I was wired up, walking into a room full of criminals, ready to expose her and Willie's entire scam. They wanted my house and Teresa's restaurant, but I was about to burn their world down. Leonard Walsh prepped me in a Charlotte hotel room. He taped a tiny microphone under my blouse, handed me an earpiece. Stay calm, he said. Get Gerald Hinton talking about the scam. Mention Madison and Willie. We need him to incriminate himself. The FBI was involved now. Agent Valerie Pratt stood by the door, her face serious. Jacqueline, you're our key, she said. We've been after Hinton for years. This network's stolen millions from seniors like you. If you get him on tape, we can take them all down. I nodded, my heart pounding, but not from fear. I was angry. Madison and Willie had lied, stolen, and abandoned me. Now they were targeting Teresa's restaurant, her life's work. I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. I was fighting for her, for every senior who'd been betrayed by family. Valerie gave me a cover story. I was a wealthy widow desperate to save Madison from legal trouble, willing to pay Gerald $200,000 to make it go away. He'll bite, she said. He loves easy marks. The private club was upscale, all dark wood and leather chairs. I walked in alone, my purse clutched tight. Gerald Hinton was at a corner table, sipping whiskey. He was in his 50s, smooth-talking, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Jacqueline, good to meet you, he said, shaking my hand. Madison speaks highly of you. I forced a smile, sat down. I want to help my daughter, I said. She's in trouble because of you. Gerald leaned back. Trouble's a strong word, he said. We help families solve financial problems. Madison and Willie needed cash. You had it. I played along. They took $100,000, I said. Now they want my house. I just want this to stop. Gerald's smile widened. We can make that happen, he said. For a price? I leaned forward, How much? I asked. $200,000, he said. We'll clear Madison's debts, get her and Willie back on track. You'll have your family again. I pretended to hesitate. How do I know you'll deliver? I asked. He laughed. I've been doing this 10 years, Jacqueline. Ask Madison. She's one of my best. My stomach twisted, but I kept my face neutral. What does she do for you? I asked. Gerald sipped his drink. She finds people like you, he said. People with assets, but no one looking out for them. She and Willie convinced them to share the wealth. Your house, your sister's restaurant, those are just bonuses. I gripped my purse under the table. Teresa's restaurant, I asked. He nodded. Madison's already working on it. A little lawsuit, some pressure, and Teresa will hand it over. Families predictable like that? I had him. He'd just admitted to targeting Teresa. But I needed more. How many others are involved? I asked. Gerald shrugged. Enough to keep things moving. Financial advisors, lawyers, family members, like Madison. We take 60%, the rest goes to the kids who do the work. 60%. They were stealing millions and giving scraps to people like my daughter. What if I don't pay? I asked. His smile faded. Then Madison and Willie go to prison, he said. And we might find issues with your taxes, your accounts. Things get messy. I stood up. I'll think about it, I said. Gerald handed me a card. Don't wait too long, he said. Time's running out. I left the club, my legs steady, despite the adrenaline. Valerie met me in the parking lot. You did it, she said. We've got him on conspiracy fraud, elder abuse. We're moving in tomorrow. I felt a surge of relief, but it didn't last. Madison and Willie were still out there, planning their next move. I drove back to Asheville with Teresa. She was furious. They're coming for my restaurant, she said. After what they did to you, I nodded. We're stopping them, I said. The FBI's on it. But I wasn't naive. Gerald's network was big, and Madison was desperate. I called Dennis Carver, the detective. They're planning to sue Teresa, I said. Can you protect her assets? He promised to coordinate with the FBI. We're building a case, he said. Your wire's the break we needed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Madison's face at the coffee shop, her lies so effortless. I called Leonard. What's next? I asked. The FBI's raiding Gerald's office tomorrow, he said. They'll arrest Madison and Willie too if they're there. I wanted to confront them myself, but Leonard stopped me. Let the feds handle it, he said. You've done enough. But I hadn't. Not until I knew Teresa was safe. The raid happened at dawn. Valerie called me. We got Gerald, she said. And 10 others. Madison and Willie weren't there, but we're tracking them. I felt a mix of triumph and dread. They were on the run. I checked my bank accounts, found 2 new charges, $1,000 at a hotel in Raleigh. They were still using my card. I called the bank, froze everything. Then I called Teresa. They're in Raleigh, I said. We need to be ready. She agreed. I'm moving my restaurant's accounts to a trust, she said. They're not getting a dime. Madison and Willie thought they'd outrun me slipping away, while the FBI closed in. They were wrong. I was about to face them in court, expose every lie, and make sure they'd never touch Teresa's life. Their scam was over, but the fight wasn't. Valerie Pratt called me the day after the raid. We found Madison and Willie, she said. They were hiding in a Raleigh motel with fake IDs and $30,000 in cash. My heart raced, but I stayed focused. What now? I asked. They're being extradited to Asheville, she said. We're charging them with fraud, conspiracy, and elder abuse. You'll need to testify. I didn't hesitate. I'm ready, I said. The arraignment was a week later. I sat in the courtroom, watching Madison and Willie in orange jumpsuits. Madison wouldn't look at me, but Willie stared, his eyes cold. The judge read the charges: wire fraud, identity theft, abandonment. Bail was denied. Marjorie Klein was by my side. They're facing 10 to 15 years, she said. Your testimony will seal it. I nodded, but part of me felt hollow. This was my daughter. But she'd chosen this path. I met with Dennis Carver to prepare. He showed me evidence from the raid laptops with victim profiles, including mine and Teresa's. They had your house appraised, he said. And Teresa's restaurant. They planned to forge a will, naming Willie as beneficiary. I felt raga flare up. They wanted everything I said. Dennis nodded. You stopped them, Jacqueline. Your wire took down Gerald's whole network. The trial started a month later. I took the stand, my voice steady. I told the jury everything, the loan, the forced abandonment, the stolen card charges. I described Madison's lies, Willie's threats, Gerald's confession. The prosecutor played the wire recording. Gerald's voice filled the courtroom, admitting to the scam targeting Teresa's restaurant. The jury gasped. Madison buried her face in her hands. Willie just stared ahead. Madison's lawyer tried to paint her as a victim. She was manipulated by Gerald, he said. She loves her mother. I wanted to scream. Instead, I stayed calm. The prosecutor called Leonard Walsh. He presented emails between Madison and Gerald, planning to sue Teresa for her restaurant. Madison wasn't coerced, he said. She was a willing participant. The jury looked convinced. Teresa testified too. They tried to destroy my sister, she said. Then they came for me. Jacqueline saved us both. Her voice cracked, but she held strong. I reached for her hand as she left the stand. We were family again, closer than ever. The trial lasted 2 weeks. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. Madison got 12 years, Willie 14. Gerald got 25. After the verdict, I met with Marjorie. Your house is safe, she said. And we're recovering your $100,000 from their seized assets. I felt relief, but it wasn't about the money. It was about justice. I called Teresa. It's over, I said. They're gone. She sighed. Good, she said. Now let's live our lives. But Madison had one last move. She wrote me a letter from prison. Mom, I'm sorry it started. I didn't read the rest. I handed it to Marjorie. File it, I said. I'm done with her lies. Teresa and I focused on the future. She expanded her restaurant. I helped with the books. We spent evenings together, laughing over wine. Something we hadn't done in years. Madison and Willie thought they'd destroy me and Teresa with their greed. They didn't. We built a life stronger than ever, free from their lies. I wasn't just surviving. I was fighting for others like me, and winning. Life after the trial felt like a fresh start. Teresa and I moved into a duplex in Asheville, 2 units side by side. I had my space, she had hers, but we shared dinners most nights. Her restaurant was thriving now with a new patio and a loyal crowd. I handled her finances, keeping everything tight after what we'd been through. You're better at this than I am, she said one evening, handing me a glass of wine. I laughed. I learned the hard way, I said. I started volunteering with Rita Hensley at a local elder advocacy group. She'd worked with seniors targeted by scams like Gerald's. Your story's powerful, Jacqueline, she said. People need to hear it. I began speaking at community centers, telling audiences how Madison and Willie betrayed me, how I fought back. Strangers came up after my talks, sharing their own stories. One woman, 75, hugged me, tears in her eyes. My son took my savings, she said. You gave me hope. I gave her Marjorie's number. The FBI kept me updated. Gerald's network was gone. 37 arrests across 6 states. They recovered $2 million for victims. I got my $100,000 back, plus another $50,000 from the house lien. I put it into a trust for Teresa's restaurant and my own future. No one's touching this again, I told Marjorie. She smiled. You're a fortress now, she said. Teresa and I took a trip to the coast that summer. We walked the beach, talked about our parents, our childhood. I was jealous of you growing up, she admitted. You always had Madison. I had no one. I squeezed her hand. You have me now, I said. She smiled. Better late than never. We were more than sisters. We were partners, survivors. A year after the trial, I got a call from Valerie Pratt. We're honoring you, she said, for exposing Gerald's network. I laughed. I just wanted my house back, I said. But I accepted the award at a ceremony in Raleigh. Teresa came with me, cheering louder than anyone. The plaque hangs in my living room, a reminder of what I'd overcome. Madison tried contacting me again, 2 years later. A prison counselor called, saying she wanted to meet. I declined. She's not my family, I told the counselor. Teresa is. I didn't need closure. I had a life. I spoke at a national elder abuse conference that year, met advocates from across the country. My story helped pass a new law in North Carolina, protecting seniors from family fraud. Teresa and I hosted Thanksgiving at the duplex. We invited Calvin Dorsey, the guy who'd saved me in Pisgah. He brought his wife and kids. The table was loud with laughter. You ever miss Madison? Teresa asked me later washing dishes. I thought about it. I miss who I thought she was, I said. But I don't miss the lies. Teresa nodded. Good, she said. You're too busy being a hero. I looked out at my life. Teresa's restaurant, my advocacy work, our home. Madison and Willie had tried to take it all. Thought I'd break. They were wrong. I was 73, now stronger than I'd ever been. I wasn't just Jacqueline the mom who got scammed. I was Jacqueline, the woman who fought back, saved her sister, and changed lives. And I was just getting started. If this story hit you, check out the next one on your screen. Click subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming. Thanks for being here.